Hello, PreCalculus. Our second topic here is composition of functions. I'm going to have two videos over this. First one here, we're just going to talk about what is a composition of functions and find one. And then we're going to talk about, well, what if we have a restricted domain? So the first examples here, we have no restrictions, right? No fractions here, here. We have no square roots, so everything is fine. So first, what is a composition of functions? So a composition of functions is you're going to take one function and kind of put it into the other. So if I want to find f of g of x, that's the same thing as f of g of x. So f of g of x. What does this mean? Well, that means I'm going to take my g of x function, which is this guy, and plug it in everywhere I see x into my f of x. So this means I'm going to find f of, instead of g of x is x minus 4. And so now everywhere I see x in my f of x function, I'm going to write x minus 4 instead of just x. So this is going to be x minus 4 squared plus 1. So again, I took the g of x function, which is x minus 4, and I plugged it in where I saw x in f of x. And then to figure out what this is, I'm just going to go ahead and multiply it out. Remember, I got x minus 4 times x minus 4. That's what this guy is. That would be x squared. Then I got negative 4x. Negative 4x was negative 4 minus 4. That would be negative 8x. And then negative 4 times negative 4 would be 16. Don't forget your 1 you got up here, plus 1. So this guy's x squared minus 8x plus 17. That's f of g of x. All right, part B says find g of f of x. So g of f of x means I'm going to find g of f of x. In other words, I'm going to take my f of x function and plug it into g of x. So this is going to be g of x squared plus 1. And that means everywhere I see x in my g of x function, I'm going to plug in f of x. So that would be not x minus 4, but x squared plus 1 minus 4. X squared plus 1 is this guy, and then minus 4. And this would just be x squared minus 3. Good? All right, and then if I wanted to find f of g of just some number, well, we found f of g of x in A. So I know f of g, we know f of g of x is x squared minus 8x plus 17. If I want to find f of g of 2, what am I going to plug in for x? 2, right? So that's 2 squared minus 8 times 2 plus 17. 4. 8 times 2 is 16 plus 17. 17 minus 16 is 1 plus 4 would be 5. And so that's f of g of 2. There's another way to find that, but if you've already done all the work to find f of g of x, that is the quickest way to do it. All right. Sorry, meant to scroll up here. Go ahead and pause your video. See if you can do the U-tries for A, B, and C. Notice there's new functions here. All right, welcome back. If you're coming back, I assume you've taken a stab at it. Let's see how you did. F of g of x. F of g of x. That would be f of this guy, 5 minus x squared. So instead of having 3 times x, I'm going to have 3 times 5 minus x squared. Sorry, wrote that wrong. 5 minus x squared. And then plus 1. Distributing this 3, I've got 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times negative x squared is negative 3x squared plus 1. And so putting it in standard form, I'm going to put negative 3x squared first. 15 plus 1 would be plus 16. Is that what you got? Hopefully you're saying, yes, Miss Harris, keep going, keep going. All right. For g of f of x, that would be g of f of x is 3x plus 1. So that's 5 minus 3x plus 1 squared. You're going to have to do a little bit more work on this one, huh? 5 minus 3x plus 1 times 3x plus 1. I'm going to write out all the steps for you here. I did not mean to draw that. I want to just scroll up so I can have some more room. This would be 5 minus, be careful, this negative sign is going to get you caught up if you don't keep this guy in parentheses. So 3x times 3x, that'd be 9x squared. And I got 3x times 1 is 3x, 3x times 1 is 3x, so 3x plus 3x, that's going to be 6x. 1 times 1 is 1. This pesky little negative sign, though, means we're going to have to distribute it. So 5 minus 9x squared minus 6x, negative times 1 would be minus 1. See, if you lose your parentheses here, then you just have 5 minus 9x squared plus 6x plus 1. You've got to keep those parentheses there so you get your correct signs. And then putting it in standard form and combining like terms, I got negative 9x squared first, negative 6x, and then 5 minus 1 would be 4. All right, f of g of 3. You can do it two different ways. I told you this. If I had not already done all the work for f of g of x, so I could either plug 3 into this guy, right? So that'd be negative 3 times 3 squared plus 16. 3 squared is 9 times negative 3 is negative 27 plus 16. That would be negative 11, right? All right, so if I know what f of g of x is already because I've done it, that's great. But assume we didn't do a and I just have f of g of 3, and these are my guys, right? Well, I could find g of 3. What is g of 3? 5 minus 3 squared. What is 3 squared? It's 9, so 5 minus 9 would be negative 4. So now I know g of 3 is negative 4, so this is going to be f of negative 4. Now I'm plugging negative 4 into this guy, so 3 times negative 4 plus 1. It's negative 12 plus 1, and we come up with the same answer. So you can work it either way. If you want to find f of g of x as it is first, you could go like this and then plug 3 into that guy. If you understood the process here, you could do it this way. It just depends on how much work you've already done on the problem. All right, that's it for composition of functions without domain restrictions. Let's look at a couple that do have domain restrictions. That is on the next video.